There are things that people put up with in their early 20s that they really have no business putting up with.
When do we narrow it down? And eventually I feel like I would date for exclusivity, not really marriage, but exclusivity and longevity.
It doesn't affect you, it affects you 10 years later.
Okay.
And that's why you see the rates in divorce are not the same as our grandparents' generation. It becomes worse because
so many things are going to that.
So many factors.
Yeah, but that's one of the
factors. We'll get to divorce in a minute. So given that we've said that the reasonable age to start dating is sometimes for some people 15, for others as young as 9 years old if your heart is ready. With that in mind, do you think celibacy is a reasonable expectation? Is it realistic to expect yourself to be celibate if you started dating this person when you were 20 years old? And given how the economy and everything works, normally, most likely, you probably get married around 26, depending on whether money is a factor for you.
Yeah, 26 now is crazy.
26, 27. So you've been dating for 6 years, and you are expecting yourself to be celibate for those 6 years. Do you think that's reasonable?
I feel like what works for you is what will. If you're a person who's astound in that, some people put like 6 months or like the 3-month rule or the 6-month rule, or they would say till marriage.
Which doesn't work for you.
Yeah, because it really doesn't. Yeah.
Because 3 months will end, they still get the thing and they leave, and then.
Come on, man.
If a real person is going to stay at back through whatever.
Throughout.
Back through whatever.
Yeah,
but I feel like
before you forget, there's a woman. Yeah, I was telling you about earlier, who got married for one month, and then she was divorced. And the reason why is because this man wanted to sleep with her, and this guy said the girl said the only way you sleep with me is if you marry me. Yeah. So she married him. So he married her. Yeah. And when it was time, realized she looked like that because she used to tuck in parts of herself to look like that.
Are you serious?
And like her she tuck in her stomach.
Oh my goodness! So you've never seen her
so she looked like she has
without shapewear or anything.
But in essence, she doesn't have that shape. And so 1 month later, first of all, he didn't even sleep with her, and they divorced after a month. And so, like that 3-month rule is, men are patient. Imagine that guy, he waited, they dated, he waited, they proposed, he waited.
And all that time to lie, even men never trust you again.
What's it called?
See, that's so why you 3 months
waited.
It's a personal value thing. If you feel like it's something, if you're doing it for like religious reasons, and like you feel like it's something that you should hold out on because that's what the Bible says, that's you. But then there's people who hold out because they think that that's the one thing people go for, and they don't want it to be the center of their relationship. They want to build on intimacy first before getting into sexual matters. And I feel like both of us, like, especially that one is kind of a valid reason, because not at you're not attracted to them or anything, but it's like you want to see whether you'll have an actual emotional bond and work on doing yourselves first. But then if you hold back and then you get into things and it's not working out, that's where problems start coming in now. Yeah.
Okay, and then there are people who make a case against celibacy using sexual compatibility. Okay,
you can work on it. They
argue that sexual compatibility can be a real issue in marriage, that there are marriages apparently that have broken.
Women, especially women whose needs are normally not considered.
Okay.
Yeah, they really be going through something.
So it's like
a tried before
tried and tested product.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just said that. Okay.
So
what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a valid complaint.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a valid complaint. Because, I mean, fact of the matter is, this sex is a very important component in marriage. There's no denying it. So I can understand where that train of logic would come from. But also, I believe communication has to happen. In the instance where you choose to go the celibacy route, I think once you're married, honeymoon, whatever, or after, I don't know, just communicate. I mean, find out what she likes, find out what you like.
Basically, it's adaptable.
Experiment.
And make it work.
Yeah,
if you really, really like someone, you can actually make it work whichever way.
Love that person for you to try and make it work, which I don't think most people have the patience for, because
but if you're marrying someone and you're marrying them because you love them,
you should be able to love them
ideally,
that much.
So ideally,
by the time you're not ready to do that, then your love is not sufficient for you to marry them. Sufficient enough for you to marry them.
I
because
agree.
you should be able to love them that much. And then the problem is, if you genuinely covet, if that's your problem, then number one, if you can't do it, the Bible says love is patient, and God is not a fool making those instructions. Says, love is, there are all these components of love, and yes, like if you love someone but can't wait to have sex after marriage, number one, that's no love, or that's not that's no true love, because love is supposed to be patient. And then also, if sex is such a big factor like that, then really you need to check that relationship. You'd see that the biggest, because it shouldn't be about sex. Like, sex is very important, but it should go a lot deeper than that, because
for sure,
sex is going to happen regardless. Once you get married. So what comes after that? Because it can't be sex all the time. So, apart from that, what else is that? You need to be able to love this person enough that no matter how good or how bad it is, your love and affection for them will still be there. They'll still be your favorite person. Still gonna wanna see them after. Still gonna wanna watch a movie together. Cook together, hang out together. And yeah. So that's what I think.
I think I agree with you. I don't think sexual compatibility is we have to do this because we need to know so that if we are sexually compatible before we decide to get married. To me, that doesn't hold water at all, because it's not rocket science. To be very honest, it's not rocket science. It's a learnable skill. You get. If you have no idea, exactly. And
okay, so now you're contradicting yourself with that statement.
Why?
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, we practice after we get married.
That's what he
said. You see, you've gotten married. We are both green. We have no idea what's going on, but we are about to get married for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
If let's say you get married when you're 30, and you die when you're 80, you've 50 years, one person. That's more than enough time to figure things out, man. More than enough time to find middle ground. And I feel like
why you're making it tough?
I don't think it's, to me, mtu akikwambia ati you need to know if you're sexually compatible. No.
You have time to make it happen.
But like, okay, I'm not gonna put that.
Yeah, that whole thing where marriage for love. Again, that is a very new concept. Marriage, love is just one aspect of it. Marriage is responsibility. Marriage is compromise. Marriage is... Again, I'm speaking as a 22-year-old who knows nothing. But from what I've seen, because I have very loving parents, it goes so much deeper than just love. And I think love wouldn't be enough to give you the patience that is needed to kind of like find your flow in regards to like sex, and I don't think love would be enough. I think it's more than that. I think it's patience. I think it's compromise. I think it's being understanding. I think it's you understanding the value this person brings. Love is not enough. And that's with everything. Love is not enough. Because there are days you'll go into their house, you don't want to see that person.
Yeah.
There are days you're so mad at each other. Where's the love? It transcends love. Now at that point, it's like, okay, I just need to be patient with this person. Okay,
And compromise.
they had a rough day at work. Let me just give them the space. You know, so if the basis for sexual compatibility or lack thereof of sexual compatibility is love, then I don't think that marriage is going to last. I think it runs deeper than that.
I want to say something. I feel like love is more than enough, because remember, love is not a feeling. We go back to what the Bible says about love. Love is patient, love is kind, love is gentle, love is slow to anger, love is forgiving, love is not selfish, it's selfless. And so the reason my parents have married 25 years, right? Now, marriage comes with responsibility, but it's responsibility on paper. For example, my dad works hard to pay for, school fees and bills and my mom's things and this and that and that. That's a responsibility, but on paper to him, that's his joy, that's his pride, that's what he wants to do. Why? Because he loves this woman. My mom does things that, are quite annoying, yeah? And my dad, is patient with her. Why? Because love is patient. Because he loves her to the point where, it just doesn't, a perfect example. I know someone who married a man who does not love her. And you can tell that, because wives are quite similar in terms of doing things that really, really irritate their husbands or their kids. Yeah? And you can see how my dad, or even your dad, responds to these things to his wife, because, because you're one of a kind. Yeah. My mom has her times where she's not as cool. But anyways, so how I see husbands who reply to women who they love, when they've been agitated, is a lot different from how husbands who don't love their wives react to such scenarios. So I feel like love is what carries everything. Love is what makes it work. Because when you take love out of the picture, it becomes a burden. Because, you're picking up so much slack. If you don't do it, if there's no love, then, you can't do it. You can't do it.
It becomes a job.
And love is not a feeling. Okay. As you said, you'd enter the house sometimes and they've really annoyed you, You don't even feel like being in the same space, That's breaking love down to a feeling. Okay. But it's beyond that. So I feel like what you're saying is, if for you love is a feeling, then you failed. Because love goes a lot deeper than just feeling. Because you're never going to feel butterflies for the 8 years you'll be married. True. You're not going to, So I think that
I think we've said the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we're already talking about marriage, the next thing is going to be...
I want to get married. Pray for me, guys.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
Yeah.
In Jesus' name, you will find a wife. Okay, we've touched on divorce, and as far as I know, the only provision that Jehovah... We haven't... We
crazy statement.
About... You said something about...
and divorce.
And how... Yeah.
I meant in terms of cheating. Divorce that has happened in terms of cheating, if I may specify.
Oh, okay.
No.
But you see, back in the day, they didn't really have that much of a choice. But anyway, okay.
Our grandfathers.
Fine. If you... Well, we reached down when we were there. We reached down, you're good.
Those women
They did persevere. Let me be honest.
to learn a lot of things.
I think one of the reasons, what we're trying to say in a nutshell, is that one of the reasons why the divorce rates back in previous generations was much lower is because they didn't really have a choice, or they weren't allowed the choice to leave. Even if you went home and told your mother, my husband is beating me, she'll tell you, okay, I'm sorry, but go back, because that's your husband. You see. But these days, like, if the same thing happened to me, God forbid, I know for a fact I'd be told, you're staying here, you're not going back to that house, because we're not letting another man beat you like that, So
just sorry for cutting you short. It's also like you guys are so empowered now.
That's true.
you don't need a man the same way our grandmothers needed a man, you know. It was for sustenance. For real.
That is true.
If she's not in that house that man, she's died. Unless she's going back home, she's died. You see, but now we're in a society where you guys are set up nice, education is...
You can have your own income.
Yeah, you can live your life. So I think that also really contributes a lot to it. Sorry, what was your question?
The question I haven't even gotten to that. So, biblically speaking, the only provision as far as I know for divorce is infidelity, right? So, like what I've just said, if you find yourself in cheating, if you find yourself in an abusive relationship, whether emotionally abusive or physically, as a Christian, will God be angry at you if you leave?
What type
If you leave an abusive relationship?
He can put that scene on my notch.
I would gladly go to hell. I would gladly go to hell for it.
This one is fine.
I'll go to hell for it.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
Okay.
Yeah. Me personally, there's nothing in this world that would ever make me burn in hell. Yeah, so that's for me. Nothing.
So if your are you staying in an abusive relationship?
Nothing in this world.
Are you staying in an abusive relationship?
Let's put it in context.
Let her remove my teeth even.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
And my eyes. Nothing. Nothing. I love God more.
Me, it's never that serious.
Like the rules, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, chukulia kuhusu kujipenda.
Let me tell you this.
If I am in an abusive marriage, let's say this man beats me until I die, and I live and to be 100 years old, and the full 70 years of my marriage I have been beaten every single day, those 70 years will come to an end. Hell is eternity, bro.
I know.
However bad your abuse was,
it's gone.
hell is a billion times worse.
You need to understand. I need you to picture her. Not saying you should persevere it to escape her, because you not divorcing this guy is not gonna get you to heaven, and you divorcing him is not. There's nowhere it says if you divorce you will go to hell.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this: never say you would go to hell for anything, because I need you to picture. Number one, hell has no. First of all, there's no way you didn't stand there and let me punch you for a whole minute straight, repeatedly. You're not even going to fathom that pain. Like, you're not going to allow it. Leave alone for eternity. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Yeah, but you can leave, but how you can't? Because you're worse than him.
No, you're not.
Listen,
it's
I will tell you. This is my thing. This is my policy about fighting.
Emotional,
Don't hit people if you don't want to be hit back. I don't care if you're a woman who's 4'11", beating on your husband who's 6'5". I won't feel for you the day he decides to fight you. Because why are you fighting a man that... Surely. And the opposite is true. Because women can be abusive.
Yeah, but
now, I did the example I gave. Yeah. So for me, it's just don't hit anyone.
Of course, we're not condoning abuse in relationships in any way whatsoever. No one should be beating anyone or even emotionally abusing anyone. We're just talking worst case scenario. You're in an abusive relationship. Is it
first of all,
like wrong?
The patterns of how narcissistic people work is that they do not change, is that they are selfish, is that they are internally built to not change or recognize their faults. So one element of and abuse is such a huge pattern, because most of the people who are in it don't even necessarily realize or acknowledge it. They're normally in denial about it. And you find by the time you're realizing, hey man, like I'm being abused, like this person has put you through love bombing, has put you through, I don't want to use those, those therapy terms, but like there's a way they pull you in and they keep you there. Like it's not that easy to leave, first of all, so shout out to the people who actually have the strength to do it. But it takes so much, first of all, to recognize the patterns of abuse, sometimes even the emotional kind especially, and to be like, this person is not going to change, and whatever this is, like, and men even have a tendency to change. Statistically speaking, this one I know I can say, when men go through job losses, when men go through depressive waves, when men go through all these things that kind of come through life and they don't know how to handle it, and you can find that they're turning against you. So what do you do then?
I think, sorry, before you speak, in response to that, Jordan Peterson explained that there are so many men going through depression that don't know what they're going through is depression, because depression in men doesn't manifest the same way that it does for women. And clinically, the symptoms for depression are more inclined towards women. So because it tends to be because men aren't allowed the freedom to express the emotions that would be classified under depression. You're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to be sad. So the only this is from now my personal observation, I feel like the only emotions men are allowed are happiness and anger. You get you're either happy, chill, okay, maybe happiness, calm, and anger. So you either just chill or you're happy
because your favorite team is winning.
But any hurt, betrayal, nini, everything else is just it's put under the umbrella of anger. So he's anxious, but he's not allowed to be anxious because he's a man. It's not an excuse, but
they should be like that.
Nini. But I feel like when if it's not someone who's like already narcissistic, if this is a man who's just really truly frustrated with life and he doesn't know what to do and he's throwing a temper, I feel
first of all, you would have seen it from afar, because people who have patterns of abuse, like it's people who just don't pick them up, and you can't necessarily like.
Or you just choose to ignore them.
Yeah, you don't know the patterns of abuse and you don't see it. It's that possessiveness. It's those little things in them, and then one day it just blows up and you're like, what on earth is really happening here? And I feel like it's a very tricky pattern, especially with emotional abuse. You're like, do I not go? Do I not? Like you don't know what's happening there. And overall, those people do not tend to change. They really do not tend to change. It either gets worse because narcissism.
They rarely change.
They rarely ever do change.
So
and
I'm talking about I agree with that. I completely agree with that. And I'm talking about the man who isn't an abusive person.
And they suddenly know if they have it in them, one day it's going to come out.
That's true. But I'm saying, like you've said, there are things that happen in life that you weren't anticipating. It's easy to be in love and to show love and to express love when everything is okay, when everything
he won't
is
blow
fine.
up one day at you punching you. He's gonna start slowly, either yelling at you or throwing a fit or throwing something.
Yes.
When you start picking up those patterns,
So when those whatever he lost his job or he lost his dad or something drastic has happened and he does not have the toolbox to deal with these emotions or to handle it.
That you do not have the toolbox.
No. Let me finish.
Let me finish.
So let's say I'm trying to point out a problem that is there in society, and so that we're not justifying. We're just saying it's a real problem that exists, and we need to point out that it exists, so that we can start training these men and giving them those tools, so that they don't get to that point, and also training each other as women to notice that if he's never yelled at you and all of a sudden he's yelling at you, you're not the problem. He's not yelling at you because his shoes haven't been polished. Something is bothering him, and he needs to deal with that thing that is bothering him.
You need to help him.
You better talk to his brother and tell him to talk to him because something is wrong. But if she sits down and doesn't do anything and really believes that she's being yelled at because the shoes haven't been polished, she'll keep taking it until it escalates to that point of abuse. But if they're both able to identify and that he's going through something that even maybe he hasn't identified because you're burying it so deep, you don't even know you're going through it.
Yeah, and that's just from a guy's perspective, that's very real. Sometimes you're just frustrated and you can't fully identify what it is that is making you angry. Because it's like you just have to bottle everything, compartmentalize. We don't really have avenues or like people we can talk to. So a lot of life we just deal by ourselves. Being a man is very lonely. That's just a fact, and I'm not justifying abuse in any way.
We're just saying like it's
but it's one of the very few avenues we have.
It's an agitating factor. It's a catalyst, let me say, for abuse.
Yes.
Okay,
wait,
I think
I think before we digressed, you went back to a question. I want to throw 2 verses at it, an explanation about divorce. Like, what if you ended up somewhere where you are not happy? I'll give the first verse, which talks about where God says the only valid reason for divorce should be sexual immorality, which is like you're sleeping around, you're cheating your spouse is allowed to leave you. And another verse, Malachi 2 verse 16, or is it 16 2? 2 verse 16, where it says God hates divorce. And we need to number one, we've reached to a place where we're so excited. I've just met you, it's been a month, we're so excited. We can, this hasn't reached in America, we can go to that church and for like $10, we're married, and boom, So I feel like a lot, so I feel like number one, before you get married, invest time to know your partner, invest time. And I remember Pastor Tony once said, what do you speak about in a relationship? You're over here, you're talking about, this and that, a lot of useless things. And then when you get married, you realize, Allah, I don't know this guy. So what are you talking about in a relationship, in a relationship? So what questions are you asking, what activities this you're doing with each other to know each other, because it is very hard to hide emotions when they're triggered, and so and the more you stay with someone, the closer you get someone, then they become a bit see-through around you. And so invest the time in knowing this person, not just hanging out with them, but knowing this person, so that the day you get married, you are sure of the person you have married. And then when it reaches a point to where they're not okay and this happens to them, they've lost their job or taught, and then they become abusive, now that's a different story. But you get married, and immediately after marriage you realize this guy is a guy with anger problems, this guy is a guy who doesn't like take care of himself, is a guy who's not clean, there's a guy who disrespects women, disrespects me, beats me. I feel like it reaches a point where you need, number one, to take accountability and say, here I failed, and God denying you to divorce is not making God a bad God, it's making you a foolish woman.